Good evening. Tonight is Berachos Daf Gimel, and we just started the Daf Yomi cycle. I must say that this is my fifth time as the Magid Shir of Daf Yomi, and I've never taped a Shir before, but I was inspired yesterday when there was a Los Angeles Siyum Hashas, and they talked about Rav David Grossman, who was a chavrusa of mine maybe 30 years ago. He was one of the avrechim of the Los Angeles Kollel when it first came. And he, over the years, had audio taped all of Shas from the beginning to the end. He was one of the first ones where you could get a tape of Berachos Daf Beis, Berachos Daf Gimel, whatever daf you wanted to listen to. It was Rav Grossman's tapes. And then when they first created the iPod, one of the apps was called ShasPod. And it was one of the first digital downloads of Shas. And they used Rav Grossman's tapes. And so they said yesterday at the Siyum Hashas that, 2,500 people on a daily basis learn Daf Yomi with Rav David Grossman's tapes. So it inspired me that we're learning anyways. We have our other long-term members of the DAF here. Shalom Aleichem, Johnny and Mario have also been zocha to go through Shas with me 4 or 5 times. And I was just explaining that I was inspired at yesterday's Siyum when they said that when Rav David Grossman, and he started first making audio tapes, that today 2,500 people a day listen to the daf from Rabbi Grossman's tapes. So I was inspired myself to, since we're learning anyways, to make a tape and have it available for people who want to learn the Daf Yomi in a digital format. And it should not, it should be a regular shir, whatever questions people have, etc., etc. We're going to do it exactly the way we always do it. We should ignore that this device is here. Okay, so we started the Masechta Berachos yesterday, and we're now on Daf Beis Amud Beis. I want to welcome Michael back. Michael had gone through Shas a number of times with us, or certainly once, and he's been learning more Be'iyun, and now that he's much more, now he wants to go through Daf Yomi in the same process. So Baruch Hashem, Michael, welcome back. Omer Ma, it's about 4 lines from the bottom. So there was a debate in the Mishnah between a number of the Tanoim. When does the Zman Kriya Shema at evening begin? So, for example, Rav Yehuda had said, it's Mishasha Kohanim Nechnasim Lechol B'Trumason. It's at the time when Kohanim, who are Tomei, first eat their Truma. We know the din of a Tvul Yom. Let's say a Kohen had touched a Sheretz or Nevela. So they would have been Tomei that day. So they go to the mikveh, and at that moment they're at Tvul Yom. Even at 10 o'clock in the morning, they're at Tvul Yom. What does that allow them to do? Eat Meiser. You wouldn't be able to eat Meiser if he hadn't gone to a mikveh. So a Tvul Yom gets you something, but you can't eat Truma yet. Once you have what's called Herav Shemesh, which we're going to learn is Tseisa Koichavim, once the day ends, so then the Kohanim can begin eating Truma. Now we talked about other people who have to wait until the 8th day. A Zava, a man who has an emission 3 times, or a Zava, a woman during her 11 days of Zivus period, following the 7 days of Nidus period, if she sees bleeding 3 days in a row, she's a Zava Gedola. They also have to count 7 days. On that 7th clean day, they have to go to the mikveh. That night, Herav Shemesh, they can eat Truma, but they can't eat Kachim until they bring a Korban on the 8th day. Same thing if you're a Mitzorah. Same thing if you're a Yoledes, if you've given birth. So day 40 for a male or day 80 for a female is the end, and then day 41, day 81, they bring their korbanos. So that's just a review. So Rabbi Yehuda said to Rabbi Meir that no, because Rabbi Meir said the time of Kriya Shema is when the Kohanim go to the mikveh. So how? That's very early. You have to go to the mikveh mibod yom while it's still daylight. So Rabbi Yehuda challenges Rab Meir and says, how can you say it's so early? Shapir Kermele Rab Meir, and the Gemara then comments, that's a good kasha that Rabbi Yehuda has on Rab Meir. So what does Rav Meir have to respond? Rav Meir, hachi ka'amar le. This is what he will say to him. Mi savrista ano aben hashmoshes titcha ka'amina. Who is telling you that I'm relying on your ben hashmoshes? Now, let's stop. What is ben hashmoshes? There are two periods of time. There's shkiyas achama, where the sun goes down, and then there's tzeisa krechavim. Now, ben hashmoshes is a period of time which is sofek yom, sofek laila. We don't know what it is. And it's somewhere in that period of time, in that in-between time. Rav Yehuda's shita is the longest shita regarding ben hashmoshes. He says that ben hashmoshes extends from shkiyas achama, when the sun ball first leaves the horizon, until it says krechavim. It could be an hour and 10 minutes. Like for our Shabbos, right? Shabbos doesn't end until Tzeitzah Kochavim, but it's already, the sun has gone down maybe an hour and 10 minutes before. That's the sheet of Rabbi Yehuda. And, for example, there's a lot of problems with Ben Hashmoshes. If a child, for example, is born Ben Hashmoshes and it's Friday, so we've already learned in Suvim Rabbanon, are we going to, now even though technically it's already Shabbos, we were Makabel Shabbos, Shabbos starts even before Shkiyas Achama, but during this Ben Hashmoshes period, it's Sofek Yom, Sofek Laila. There is a shita that it might be day. So would we make the bris the following Shabbos? No. You can only make a bris, the malachos of a bris violate Shabbos. You're not allowed, for example, to make a wound. Does that mean anything? Yeah, okay. You're not allowed to make a wound on Shabbos. So how can you make a bris? So it says, Bayom Hashmini Yimol B'sar Laso, even b'Shabbos. It's doicha Shabbos, mitzvah saseh of Mila is doicha the loy sasehs of Shabbos. But that's only if the child was born on the Shabbos and the bris is bismano on Shabbos. But if it's born ben hashmoshes, it would have to be delayed until Sunday. We wouldn't do it Friday because it's a possibility that maybe that's only 7 days. Okay, so you'd wait until at least the 9th day. Okay, so Reb Meir says to Rabbi Yehuda that the Kohanim are being toivel sort of within Ben Hashmoshes. Okay? But who says it's your Ben Hashmoshes where there's a long period between day, like when the sun had just gone down, and Tzeisa Kochavim? Ano Ben Hashmoshes Rabbi Yosi Ka'amina. Rabbi Yosi is of the Shita that Ben Hashmoshes is a few seconds before Tzeisa Kochavim. He is the shortest version. So, according to the pshat that you can be toivel ben hashmoshes, so the ben hashmoshes tefillah is right before night. So that's not necessarily going to be a big problem for Rav Meir. Because Rabbi Yosi ben hashmoshes is keherev ayin. Zeh nichnas v'zeh yotzei. According to Rabbi Yosi, this day leaves and the next day comes beherev ayin in a moment.
In a blink of an eye.
V'i efshar la'amoid alav. And you cannot really pinpoint its exactness. So now we're on Daf Gimel on the top. Kasha Rav Meir. So we have two statements of Rav Meir, two brises. And I'll read Rashi. One place Rav Meir said, it's the time that people go in Erev Shabbos to eat their bread. And that's a later shear than when the Kohanim are toivel. Right? So it seems to be a steer in Rav Meir. The Gemara answers, Trei Tanoi Alibid Rav Meir. So when the Masorah was being developed, the Tanoim had received from their Rebbeim different Masorah. So one Tana had received a Shmua, a hearing in the name of Rav Meir of that shear. And another Tana had received that other Shmua of Rav Meir. That's what it means, Trei Tanoi Alibid Rav Meir. Now, we will find that if anybody after the Tanaitic period, let's say Rabbi Yehuda Nossi, who codified the Mishnah, was the last Tana, and the next generation, we're talking about Rav Chia, Rav Yochanan, Rish Lakish, Abaya, Rav, all of those, they are Amoyroim. It's a later period after the Tanoim. Amoyroim may not argue with Tanoim. So if sometimes we'll make a statement, Amar Rav Yud Amar Rav, which is an Amoraic statement, and they'll quote a halacha. But then they'll say, Bahavahatanya, but there's a Baraisa, which is a Tanaitic piece of literature that says the opposite, and an Amoira cannot be choilek with the Tana. So there the Gemara will go through all sorts of conniptions how to resolve the kasha on the Rav. Rav really holds because it's something else. It cannot live with a machlokas between an Amora and a Tana. But here the Gemara is very fine. Trade Tanoi Ali Rav Meir. Gentlemen, in every Mishnah, let's say we read a Mishnah, Rabbi Gamliel Oimer something else. Yeah, Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon. So many Mishnayos in Shas contain within it a machlokas Tanoim. And that's the way it is. We don't have to be so bothered by machlokas. So that's why the Gemara can stop and say, trade Tanoi Ali Rav Meir. And it resolved the kasha. Similarly, says the Gemara, kasha Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Eliezer. There was also a steer in Rabbi Eliezer that in one place he said one sheet, and in the other places he said another measurement. So the e-boy say Rachel Rabbi Eliezer. Now one answer is trey Tanoi leave it Rabbi Eliezer. Same answer we gave about Rav Meir that there were two Mesoris in what Rabbi Eliezer said. Another answer is e-boy say Rachel Rabbi Eliezer that really Rabbi Eliezer when he said Misha Kohanim Nichnosim Lecho B'Trumos Latzof Hashmua Rishona Div Rabbi Eliezer is really only speaking about the last year, the Ad Sofa Ashmura Balayla, the last third. But his shita was not the beginning shir. Really, the beginning shir was what was quoted in the other Baraisa. Okay. The Mishnah said in the name of Rabbi Eliezer that you can start reading Kriya Shema when the Kohanim start eating their truma. And it ends, there's an ending period. You don't have all the night to read it, according to Rabbi Eliezer. Ad sof hashmua rishona, until the final third. Now, where do we come up with this name, Ashmura, that it means a third? Right? Mike Sav Rabbi Eliezer. Now, first of all, we're going to see that there's a machlokes, tanoim, how to divide up the night. Do divide it up in 3, or do we divide it up in 4? So, does Rabbi Eliezer iksav sholish mishmaris havi alayla, that the night is divided into 3 sort of sections? Then again, why not say it simpler? So let's talk about the night of March 21, which is the vernal equinox. Equinox means the length of the day and the night are exactly equal. There's another date in the calendar which is exactly the same, which is September 21. That's the autumnal equinox. That's the day in autumn where the day and the night are also exactly the same, where it's 12 hours. Now again, after September 21, the nights get shorter and shorter and shorter until December 21, when it's the shortest hour. Instead of being 12 hours, it might be only 10 hours. And then again, the nights get longer until March 21 when it's equal. Then from March 21 until June 21, the days get longer and longer until June 21, when the day might be 14 hours of sunlight and maybe only 8 hours of darkness. So let's take an average, let's say the March 21 or the September 21 where it's 12 hours. So if there's 3 Ashmoyles, then you're talking about 4 hours for each Mishmar. So why not just say in the Mishnah, Ad Soif Arba Shois? Why confuse the issue and say at the end of the Ashmura? And then the person reading it has to understand, well, what Ashmura are we talking about? Is it 3 Ashmuras or 4 Ashmuras? Say simply, until Arba Shois. And the Iks of Arba Mishmar Savelayla Lemat Sholosh Shois. And if he holds that there are 4 Ashmoras at night, then it should be until the end of the 3rd hour. La'olam says the Gemara Ksavar Sholish Mishmar Savelayla. That the night is divided up into 3, and therefore it really should say at the end of 4 hours. So, what is Rabbi Eliezer teaching us? The Ike Mishmaris Berekia, the Ike Mishmaris Ba'ara. That don't just think that in our realm, our physical realm. Now, our physical realm refers to, we're here on earth, and we also have a space above us. Space, the moon, the sun, the stars. That's all in our physical world. So there's an Ashmura in that world, and there's also an Ashmura Berikia. Rikia means the heavens, but it's referring to the Ruchnius spheres, because there's 7 Rikios. Like, for example, when Yom Kippur, when we say Hashem Elokim 7 times, we are being Malave Kodesh Baruch Hu through the 7 Rikias back to his abode, back to the Kesra Kavod. So the Rikia here that we're talking about is in a spiritual plane. Like, so when Hashem, there's a court on earth, and there's a Pamaya Shalmala. There's a heavenly court. So Rabbi Eliezer wants to teach us that there are mishmoros, where certain things happen here, and there are mishmoros where certain things happen in Shamayim. And the Gemara is going to tell us, what does HaKadosh Baruch Hu do during these ashmoros? The Tanya, Rabbi Eliezer Oimer, Sholish mishmoros havi alayla. The night is divided into 3 periods. Makol mishmar, mishmar, and on each mishmar, Yoshev HaKadosh Baruch Hu sits, v'shoeg ka'ari. He cries out like a lion. Shenemar, he quotes a pasuk in Yirmiyah Daf Chafei, Perek Chafei. Hashem mimaron yishag. Hashem from the heights calls out. Umima'on kodsho, like from his palace abode, his holy abode. Yitain kolo, he gives voice. So shoyeg yishag al nafeyu. So it says 3 times in this pasuk, shoeg. Shoeg is the action of a lion as he roars. So there, since it says 3 times shoeg, it implies that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does this act of she'iga 3 times at night, 1 in each mishmar. The siman l'davar, how do we know when these things are happening? So mishmar rishona chamor noyer. Donkeys will bray early evening, the first 4 hours of the evening. Whenever you hear a donkey bray, you should know Kodesh Baruch Hu is screaming at that time as well in Shamayim. Shnia klovim tzoakim. In that middle third of the evening, dogs bark. So when you hear at night dogs barking, Hashem is doing the same thing in Shamayim. And shlishis, tinik yonik b'stei imo. When the infant wakes up to nurse from his mother, or isha misapersim baila, or the wife is speaking with her husband, that's also the siman of when Hashem is doing his action in Shamayim as well. Now, my kachoshev Rabbi Eliezer. What is Rabbi Eliezer calculating? Tchilas mishmaros kachoshev. So when do these things occur? Do these things occur are they simon? When he gave us simonim, are they giving us simonim for the beginning of the period or the end of the period? So if it's the beginning of the period, tchilas mishmar rishon is simon alamali or tahu. So what do you mean? What is the simon of the beginning of the first period? It's tzeitza koichavim. There's no greater than simon than that. Why would I need it to be given a simon that the donkey brays then? I already have a simon. So it must be that it's giving us a simon of the end. Isaf mishmar kachashiv. But if it's giving me the end, sof is rachron alamali. So the last mishmar also has a sof, which is alos hashachar, simon diyamamahu. So we don't need a simon then. Rather, says the Gemara, l'chashiv sof mishmar rishona. It needs to give me a simon for the end of the first mishmar. Utchilas mishmara achrona, and a simon for the beginning of the last. And the emtsois to emtseisa, and smack dab in the middle of the middle one, which is chatzos, right? Which would be right in the middle of chatzos. Okay. So that's where you would space out those 3 simonim, the donkey's braying and the other things we mentioned. The Baisema Sof Mishmars Kachashav. The Gemara says, no, really, the simonim are being given as the sof of those periods. Now, the Tema, you had a problem. Achroin Eloy Tzorich, the last mishmar of the night doesn't need a simon. It's alos hashachar. What do I need a simon for? Like an external simon, l'mayin afkamina, lemikri kriyashma, leman degane b'bei seifel, v'lo yoda zman kriyashma emes. So, you know what? Let's say a person is in a dark house with no windows, and he has no access to the outdoors. he will not know what time that he can stop saying Kriya Shema, because he doesn't know that it's Halos HaShachar. So we've been given now an additional siman, which is when a woman starts whispering with her husband, the guy hears that, he knows I can't say Kriya Shema anymore, the nighttime Kriya Shema. Right? Keith? Say it again?
He's in a dark room and said, where's he going to hear that?
The walls are very thin. Kiva Desha Misaperson Baila, or Tinok Yonim Nisteimo, or he hears that the mother of the house is going into the nursery because the infant needs to be nursed, so that's the siman for him. Leikum Velikri. So he now knows, or for example, he wants to start laning Kriya Shema, or when he knows before the period ends, he can quickly say Kriya Shema. On Rav Yitzchak for Shmuel Mishmei de Rav. Gimel Mishmor Savei Alayla. The night has 3 periods. V'akol Mishmar Yoshev HaKadosh Baruch Hu V'shoei Kari. And each Mishmar HaKadosh Baruch Hu is crying like a lion, or yelling, roaring like a lion. V'oimer, he says, Oy lebonim, woe is to my children, Shebavonuseinu echarafti es beisi. Through their sins, I destroyed my house, the Beis HaMikdash. V'sorafti es echoli, and I burnt the Heichal. V'iglisim lebeinu masoilam, and I exiled them among the nations of the world. Okay, Tanya. On Rav Yosi. Now, we're bringing up Baraisa in the name of Rav Yosi. Who is Rav Yosi? Rav Yosi is one of the most important Tanoim of Shas. So Rabbi Kiva, we're all familiar with, lived during the time of Bayis Rishon, of Bayis Sheni, which was destroyed 70 CE. But Rabbi Kiva died at the age of 120 during the Hadrian persecutions in 135 CE, during the revolt of Bar Kochva, who Rabbi Kiva supported. We know during the period Bein Pesach Ubein Atzeres, 24,000 of Rabbi Kiva's Talmidim died. After their death, he went and gave smicha to new students. And they were Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Shimon, and Rabbi Yehuda. And Rabbi Shimon is Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Now, virtually every Mishnah in Shabbos is Machlokes Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon, between Melacha Shein Tzrich Lagufa, Dover Shein Miskaven. And throughout Shas, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon. When we say, Stab Mishnah is who? Rav Meir. So any anonymous Mishnah which doesn't have a Tana's name in it, we say is Rav Meir. So who was Rav Meir's excellent Talmud? Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. So Rabbi Kiva is the link for Torah Shebal Peh. Now, look at how much Torah there is in the world. We have Shas Bavli, and we have all the Rashi and Tosfos, and the Rishonim, and all the Achronim. All of this Torah came from 4 Talmidim. Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Yehuda, and Rav Meir. What if we would have had 24,000 Talmidim survive Rabbi Kiva? Not 4 Talmidim. How much Torah would there be in the world? So it gives us a little insight. Why do we mourn so much during Sfiras HaOmer? Look at the loss of the Torah that we had. How much Torah we have? It's all based on 4 Talmidim Rabbi Kiva. The whole Masorah is that link between Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, which goes through Rav Meir. Now, and therefore, there is this Rabbi Yosi. It says we always paskin like Rabbi Yosi. Whenever there's a machlokes, Rabbi Yosi brings halacha. It's because Rabbi Yosi nimuko imo. He had a very clear thought, and we always paskin like Rabbi Yosi. Rabbi Yosi had a lot of children, banim tamid chachamim. Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi Yezer, Rabbi Yosi. Whenever we say those tanoim, the name of the son of Rabbi Yosi, this is the Rabbi Yosi that we're talking. On Rabbi Yosi, Pamachas ha'itzi mahalach baderech. Rabbi Yosi was traveling near Yerushalayim. V'nichnasti lechurva achas mechurvas Yerushalayim. A churva is a ruin. Nobody's living there. It's been abandoned. Lispalel bo. Lispalel. Why did he go into the churva? He wanted to daven. He didn't think it was proper etiquette to daven on the road. He's traveling, he's walking. Maybe he's on a donkey, maybe he's not. But it's not covered. I'm going to sequester myself in a quiet place, in a churva, and I'm going to daven there.
It's not good Yikida in the whole.
Boilio, Zocher Latov, there's a Masorah that Rabbi Yossi had many Gilui Elios, many discussions with Eliyahu Novi. We'll have it in other places in Shas. V'shar Ali ala Pesach. V'himtin liad shesiyamti tfilasi. He didn't disturb my davening. He waited until I finished. As I came out, he was at the Pesach. He was at the door of this churva. Amar li Shalom Alecha Rebbe, and he gave me Shalom Aleichem. V'amarti lo Shalom Alecha Rebbe Umoiri. Rabbi Yossi responded to Eliyahu, Shalom Aleichem Rebbe Umoiri. V'amar li said to Eliyahu said to Rabbi Yossi, B'ni, B'beima nechnasta l'churva zu. Why did you go into that churva? Amarti lo li spalel. Rabbi Yossi responded to David. V'amar li, hayalach al ispalel baderech. He says, well, you didn't have to go into the churva. You could have davened on the road. V'amarti lo, misyari. I didn't want to do it. I was afraid. Hayisi, shamayafsiku bo'avrid rachim. People, passerbys would have disturbed me. They would have been masak in my tefillah. So he says, you don't have to worry about that. You didn't have to say the full Shmona Esrei. We have a tefillah called Tfilas Havinenu, which is a shortened tefillah that if someone is in a situation where he doesn't have time to daven a full tefillah, there's Tfilas Havinenu. So Eliyahu Navi said, if you are on the road and you had to daven and you were concerned that you wouldn't be able to finish your davening before being interrupted, you could have said a tefillah k'tzara. So based on this little episode, says Rabbi Yossi, I learned from Eliyahu Navi 3 halachos. So number 2, he obviously was makpid. He wasn't happy that I went into the churva, right? Because he told me better that I should have davened on the road. So you shouldn't daven in a ruin. That's number 1. Number 2, that it's okay to daven on the road. And that you have a reshus when you're traveling to say this reduced tefillah Shemona Esrei, the tefillah Savinenu. Now, to continue the story, Omar libni makol shamata b'chor vazu. Eliyahu Navi asked Rabbi Yossi, what, did you hear a kol, a voice within this churva? The amarti lo shamati baskol. So a baskol, we know, is a special voice. It's a heavenly voice. We have many examples in Shas where the baskol came down when there was a machlokas between Rabbi Eliezer ben Hurkanis that by the Tanur Achnoi, and Rabbi Eliezer had said that this Tanur is okay, and the Chacham argued with him until he said, let the walls come in, and the walls were about to fall down on them, and Rabbi Yeshua said, Lo b'shamayim, and a baskol said, agreed, Lo b'shamayim, that whatever the people vote on, even though it seems like Shamayim is in support of Rabbi Eliezer ben Hurkanis, it's Lo b'shamayim. Or the baskol came out and said the halach is like Beis Hillel. When there was machlokes Besham and Beis Hillel, there's a baskol that said the halach is like Beis Hillel. So baskol isn't just a voice; it's a daughter of a voice, but it refers to a heavenly voice. Shemin amenes kiyoina, and it was like sighing like a dove. Again, it repeats this sort of dirge that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says that through the sins of my children, I had to destroy the Beis Hamikdash. And I exiled them. And Eliyahu Navi said, it's not just at this time that he says those things. Every day, 3 times a day, which we just learned. It happens at 3 episodes during the evening, during the 3 Mishmaros. We said HaKadosh Baruch Hu says this. Not only this. That when the Jewish people go into shul and they daven or they learn, the oinin and someone says Kaddish and they say Yehi Shmei HaGadol B'Voirach, right? They say the Yehi Shmei Rabba M'Voirach in Kaddish. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Menaneo Rosho. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as if Kivyochol shakes his head. The Omer Ashrei HaMelech, happy is the king. Shemakalsin Oso Bebeso, that they praise him in his house, right? The Beis Knesset is his house. Kachmalu la'av shehiglas bonov, woe is to the father that exiled his children. And woe is to the children that were exiled from the table of their father. Not only should we not daven in a churva, you shouldn't go into a churva. Why? There's three reasons. Shad means suspicion of znus. Why do people sometimes go into a hidden place? They want to do some kind of unseemly act, some kind of sexual act, privately. So, by going in by yourself, you're putting suspicion on yourself that you're committing some kind of znus act there. Don't go into a churva. Number two, this is a ruin. It's a shaky foundation. It might collapse and kill you. So this is a sakona nefashos. Don't go into a churva. Number three, mibnei mazikin. What are mazikin? Rashi says shadim.
Demons.
Rashi doesn't. Yeah?
Demons.
Yeah, shadim. Machlokes exactly throughout the ages, particularly between the Rambam and the other Rishonim like the Ramban and those of the more mystical nature, whether this concept of shadim is operating even in our time. The Rambam seemed not to have held of that, and the other Rishonim seems to say that no, we still have to be worried about shadim. Let me just make a notation that in 1918, in that period of time, the Chofetz Chaim sent Rav Elchanan Wasserman, who was his Talmud Muvak, to a village in Russia where there was a dibuk, where there was a girl who was like possessed, and there was a whole procedure followed by that the Chofetz Chaim instructed Rav Wasserman to do. So that's 100 years ago. So, anyways, that's keep that in mind.
What year was this?
What year was what?
When he went into the
No, we're talking about after the Bayis Sheni was destroyed. Rabbi Yossi lived in Rabbi Yossi we're talking about who learned from Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva passed away in 135. So we're talking about in the period of time after Churban Bayis Sheni, 70 CE after. And there was the whole countryside was destroyed. Okay. So so why are you worried about znus? Typically mishum apoilos. I mean, why do you need three? Yeah. Well, what's wrong with one? You don't have to worry about shad. Just say because it might collapse. So the Gemara says bechadati. So there were some ruins. Well, I wouldn't even say the ruins. They're uninhabited. Churba is an uninhabited place. Nobody's living there. Okay, there might be a new house that because of the Romans that came in there and took everybody out, nobody's living there. But it's a new place. So, its foundations are not destroyed. So you don't have to worry about Malpoilis. So Malpoilis you don't have to worry about. Chshad you have to worry about. Well, the Beis HaKnesses, but it's not beautiful built. That was the Churva. Yeah. That was the Churva Shul. When the Ramban came in the year 1268, after the famous disputations in Spain, where the Ramban actually won out against, there was Pablo Cristiani, who was in Barcelona, who was a Jew who had converted to Judaism and given all the secrets. It was a major debate between him and the Ramban in front of the king of Spain.
A whole week.
And in a sense, the Ramban won. The king gave him money as a reward and said he had never heard such a fantastic argument for a wrong cause. Because James of Aragon, who was the king, of course, was Catholic, but he thought the Ramban had been brilliant. But over the next few weeks, the Ramban realized it was dangerous for him, and he moved from Barcelona, he went to Eretz Yisrael. And when he came, that shul was a churva, but the Ramban davened there. So now if you've been to Yerushalayim recently, there's one of the most magnificent shuls in the world. Is there with a magnificent dome. It's very, very, very beautiful. Okay. V'tepek mishum hazikin. So again, why do I need three answers? Why not? It was enough to say I'm worried about demons. So the Gemara says betray. So if two people go in, you don't have to worry. L'chora, there seems to be an approach that two people can protect against demons. That a demon will injure you if you're a solo person. But if you went in with another person, you don't have to worry about demons. So you needed chshad as another reason, or bapoilas. So I guess if it was new, so we're going to have a problem. So if it was new and two people, so you have a problem with znus. So I betrei chshad nami leka, says the Gemara. But no, znus is only, people only do znus if they're private. Two men with one woman, there's not going to be an act of znus. So the Gemara says, betrei upritzi. That's not true. If you have two men who are light-a-guyers, right? Two men that like to have
low
a good
character.
low character, people who like to have a good time, they'll do it with having two men will not prevent them from doing a ma'ases nus with a woman there as well. So two will not. So you still have chshad. So even though the two will protect you from mazikim, and let's say it was a new churva, so you don't have to worry about mapoilas, you still have to worry about znus. Is basically where the Gemara is holding right now. Freak the Gemara, mapoilas. Why did you have to give me the reason of mapoilas? Typically mishum chshad umazikin. But what do you have to worry about mapoilas? You have the issue of znus, you have the issue of demons. So we say betray v'kashri. You needed the problem of mapoilas because you have two people and they're not pritzim, they're not lighted guys, they're not people of low character, but they're very tzaddikim. There's not going to be a problem with znus. So if there's no mazikin problem, there's no znus problem, you need a mapoilas problem. And the Gemara asks another question. There, mazikin, why are you worried about the demons? What was wrong with znus worry and the mapoilas worry? So again, the chor b'chadatil, the trey of the kashri. You needed mazikin because if you have a new rune and you have two people who are tzaddik, you don't have to worry about znus. But says the Gemara, I betray mazikin nami leka. But now you've created a scenario where you don't have to worry about anything because you just said two people will not be damaged by a demon. So the Gemara answers, Bim koiman chashinan. It's not true. That which we said, that two people will not be damaged by a demon, that's not in their normal environment. Let's say you're traveling and the demons don't know, but the demon lives here. This is the demon's playing field. So there, they can damage even two people. So two people will not, so you have to worry even about mazikim. The boy saying, Mother Gemara gives a final answer. La'olam b'chad. We're really only talking about one person. Uvechor v'chadati, and it's a new rune, so you have to worry about mapoilas. But the kai b'debora, it's out in the meadow, in the field. Dahasa mishum chshad leka. There's no women there. Da'isha b'daber lo shchicha. There's no women there. But umishum mazikin ika. But there are demons there, and there's only one person, and therefore that would be a problem. So here we see the machlokes tanoim between whether the night is divided into 3 equal parts or 4 equal parts. Rebbe holds there are 4 equal parts of 3 hours. Rav Nosson sholosh, 3 parts of 4 hours. Now, where do they base their opinion on? My time, Rav Nosson. It says in Shoftim, Vayavo Gidon, the Shofet who came with a small group of people to do battle. Umea ish asher ito b'tzeh machaneh. He had 100 people with him at the end of the machaneh. Rosh ha'ashmuras hatichona, the beginning of the middle ashmura. And Tana, we have a mission that says Ein Tichona means the middle. Ein Tichona l'sheish v'nev l'achra. So if you talk about a middle ashmura, you must have one in front of it and one in the other end. So that's Rav Nosson who says there's 3 ashmuros, which is not like Rebbe who said there's 4. So this pasuk seems to support Rav Nosson. Rebbe mighty choyna. How does Rebbe deal with this? Achas minati choyna shabati choyna. He'll say, yes, when you divide the night into 4 parts, you have 2 middle ones, right? You have A, B, C, and D. B and C are in the middle. So one of the 2 middle ones is the way Rebbe will say the Tichoino is. What is Rebbe my Tichoino? Rav Nosson, mi ksiv Tichoino shebetichoinos. It doesn't say the middle of the middles. It just says Tichoino ksiv. So that's why it's not a good pshat for Rav Nosson. My time of the Rebbe. Where did Rebbe get the concept that you have to have, that there are 4 mishmaros? Rav Zrika, Rav Ami, Rav Yeshua ben Levi, Ksuv echad oimer, in Tehillim it says, Chatzois laila, akum lahodos l'cha mishpatei tzidkecha. David HaMelech says, at midnight, at Chatzois of the night, I will wake up to give praise to you on the wisdom of your tzidkis. Ksuv echad oimer, there's another passage that says, Kidmu einai ashmuros. I wake up early. Now, the minimum ashmuros is a plural word. So the minimum ashmuros is 2. So I wake up early enough, already before 2 ashmuros. So, ha-keitzad, arba mishmoros havi alayla. So it has to be that he got up Chatzois, and there's still 2 more ashmuros to go. According to Rav Nosson, there's only 1 ashmura to go, right? Chatzos is in the middle of that middle ashmura. So you have 1.5 to go. But according to Rav Nosson, Chatzos, after Chatzos, you still have 2 other ashmuras to go, because you've got 4 of them. So that would make sense according to Rav Rebbe. What does Rav Nosson do with that? Rav Nosson says, look at Rebbe Yeshua. This is not Rav Yeshua Omer. Ad shalish sha'os. That means you can read Kriya Shema until the 3rd hour of the day. Why? Shekain derech melachim la'amad b'sholosh shoyos. Kings went up before, so like that means they wake up at the end of the 2nd hour. So you have for David HaMelech, he woke up at Chatzois, shish delayla. You have 6 hours to get to Alos, v'tarti diyamama, and then 2 hours of the daylight. So you have 8 hours. Havalahu shtei mishmaros. So that's why the pasuk uses the word, I woke up early to have 2 ashmoros under my belt. Rav Ashi Omar, mishmara upaga nami mishmoros karlahu. He gives us a different answer. He says that even according to Rav Nosson, who says you only have a mishmar and a half, so we know mikta sayom kekulo. Part of the day is like the whole day. So a mishmar and a half is considered like 2 mishmars as well. Okay. Omer Zrika Rav Abi Rishu ben Levi. Ein oim b'ftei ameis el dvorv shel meis. If people happen to be standing, this is halacha. If you're standing near a mace, you should only talk about subjects matter related to the mace. How is he going to be buried? Where is he going to be buried? You shouldn't talk about others because he can't participate, and it's a tsar to the mace. So you should only be talking about things that are relevant to the mace. Omer of Abba Barchana lo yamarna lebedivrei Torah. This halacha where you're not supposed to speak in front of the mace, it's only regarding Torah. You shouldn't say Torah in front of him because he can't respond. He can't get involved in the sugya. It's painful for him. So that may be mila de mace. That's for the covet of the mace, right? Divrei Torah obviously would have to be pilpul, dvar halacha. Good point. Since people do say tilim, tilim though must be considered something related to the mace, but it's a kasha. We should look it up. Well, what about tilim? It's divrei Torah, but you would say stam that it's probably related to the mace because it's for his benefit. But says this man Domar, but talk about a baseball game or some other nonsense, not divrei Torah, you could speak in front of the mace because that's not bothersome to the mace. However, that means even Torah and certainly Mila D'Alma, he shouldn't speak. The David Bepaga the Laila Havikavi Koi. Now, the pasuk we brought seemed to imply that David HaMelech would wake up midnight to praise Hashem. The Gemara says, "We didn't have a kaimi or to have a koi." We have other psukim that say he woke up already. He already woke up at night, the beginning of night. The chsiv kedanti b'neshef ve'eshva. Eshva is the lashon shiva. It means tefillah. I woke up by the neshef, and the Gemara is going to tell us what's neshef. Umay the neshef urtehu, which means evening. The chsiv b'neshef ba'erev yom b'ishon laila v'afela. So erev is neshef. So what do you mean David HaMelech woke up by chatzos? He woke up much earlier than that. What he meant was, I never passed a night where I was sleeping by chatzos. He started davening already by erev, and then he went all the way through. Reb Zera Omer ad chatzois halayla hayim isnamnein kesus. He would take a little cat nap, like a horse. How does a horse nap? They stand up and they nap a little bit. They close their eyes a little bit. Means he didn't really take a good shlof. He rested himself a little bit. But from Chatzois on, he girded himself like a lion and to say the praise of Hashem. Rav Ashi Omer ad Chatzois halayla haya oisek b'divrei Torah. That until Chatzois, he was oisek in Torah. Only from Chatzois on, he said Tehillim, he said praises for Hashem. As for the more of a Neshev or two, is Neshev Erev or Neshev Tzafru? Neshev is morning. Tichsiv vayakem David smote them mea Neshev ad Erev. L'machrasim, in one of his battles, recounted in Shmuel Aleph, he struck them from the morning till the evening. So how can you tell me Neshev is night? Neshev is morning. My love, mitzafra v'layla. Doesn't this mean from the morning until night? Lo. Me'ur tevadud. It meant from night to night. He went from night to night, 24 hours. If you wanted to say he went from morning to morning or night to night, say exactly it should say. So it must be that it's not correct that one is night and one is boker. Amar Rava, trei nishvi. There's two types of neshev. Havi neshev laila v'asi yamama. So neshev says the day, the night wears off and comes the day. Neshev yamama, the day wears off v'asi laila. So neshev is sort of like the closing out of either day or night. The David me'avi yada paga de laila, Amos. Because it says that David HaMelech awoke chatzos halayla to sing shiras v'sishbachos. How did he have an atomic clock? How did he know when chatzos halayla is? Hashta Moshe Rabbeinu aviyada. Dichsiv kachatzos halayla ani yotzei b'soch Mitzrayim. Kachatzos means about midnight. He didn't say bachatzos halayla. So you see, Moshe Rabbeinu himself was not exactly sure how to pinpoint chatzos. Right? My kachatzos. What do we mean by that? Was it a Kodesh Baruch Hu who said that? There's no suffix by a Kodesh Baruch Hu. It says, "Vayhi bachatzi halayla," that Hashem went down. Hashem ikakol b'chor. So that pasuk by Chatzois halayla that Moshe is speaking is not a Kodesh Baruch Hu. Ela da Omer lei. Hashem had told him that I'm going to come out bachatzois, and when Moshe went to repeat it to Paro, because I'm a mesafkale, because he didn't want to be incorrect, and he said around chatzois. So Moshe Rabbeinu himself was not capable of defining exactly when chatzois is. Did David have a yada? How would David know? No one. If Moshe Rabbeinu didn't know something, no other human would have known it. Moshe was on the highest level of wisdom. So the Gemara answers, Simona Havalei. He had an alarm clock. He had a harp hanging from above his bed. There's a northern wind that blows. The noshvos bow, it travels through the strings of the harp, and it would play by itself. Miyad, that would be a signal to get up and learn Torah until Omer HaShachar. Kivin shal Omer HaShachar comes Omer HaShachar, nichtusu chachmei Yisrael etzlo. The Chachamim would come to David, Omer lo Adonenu HaMelech, Amcho Yisrael tzrichin parnasa. Your people need economy. Omer lahem l'chuv yisparnasu zeh mizeh. He said, let them do business among each other. Means one should be a baker, one should be a grocery, one should do plumbing. That means if they all have businesses with each other, it's like B2B, right? They're all going to have parnasa because they're going to be working among itself. Amar law, ein hakomitz must be a sarif. That's not enough parnasa. The little biscuit is not going to satisfy the lion. The ein habor mismalim michul yoso. The water cistern is not going to fill by itself. He said, you know what? Let's expand our country. let's do military operations and get other economies involved with us. Okay. Now they had to do military operations. Miyad yoatzim ba'achitophel. Achitophel was the advisor. Remember, eventually, Achitophel is going to side with Avshalom in the rebellion against David HaMelech, and Achitophel is going to end up hanging himself. Now, my Rebbe, Rabbi Gruman, told me once, when we were learning Maral, and we were discussing some Greek philosophy, Plato and Aristotle, which the Maral certainly doesn't discuss in Befeirush, but it's in contrast, Jewish philosophy versus Greek philosophy sometimes is seen in the words of Maral. So my Rebbe, Rabbi Gruman, told me that the Ramah wrote a sefer, I think it's Olas HaRe'iyah, don't quote me if the name is not correct, but it's a sefer of the Ramah, where he says that all of Plato's wisdom, Plato lived in Athens. Aristotle was the student of Plato. Plato was the student of Socrates. Aristotle was the tutor of Alexander the Great. And Alexander the Great was killed 323 CE, or died 323 CE. He was very young, he was 32 years old. 33 years old. So we know that Aristotle lived, you say 350 CE, and Plato lived about 400 BCE, and Plato lived about 400 BCE. And the whole concepts of Western philosophy in their words, the soul and physical and material, that a lot of that comes from Plato. Rabbi Gruman told me that the ideas of Plato came all the way down from Achitophel to Plato. How? David HaMelech lived in the year 1000 BCE. That's 600 years. But the Ramah says it. Ramah says that even the source of Greek wisdom came from Achitophel. Perhaps Achitophel at some point also taught Shlomo HaMelech, etc. Or maybe some of that also came through Shlomo HaMelech. But just an interesting tidbit. V'nimlochim b'Sanhedrin. So they would get military advice from Achitophel, and then they would have to go to the Sanhedrin. Why? Sho'alim b'urim v'tumim. They would ask, right? The urim v'tumim are the chosha and the ephod, the lights that go on. Aleph Beis. You'd ask a question, and it would say ken or lo, like they would say, should we go out in battle? And it would tell you either yes or no. So that was part of this process. On Rav Yosef, Mikra, where is the pasuk that we see that this was the process? The Chsiv, Ba'achrei Achitophel, and after Achitophel was asked advice, Benayahu ben Yehoiada ve'Evyadar. Then comes Benayahu, who was the Rosh HaSanhedrin. Ve'Evyasar, who was the Kohen, V'Sar Tzoval, Lemelech, Yoya. Then Achitophel ze Yoetz. Achitophel was the advisor. As it says, V'atzatz Achitophel asher yoatz bayamim hahem kasher yishal bidvar ha'elokim. As the advice that Achitophel gave in that day. And we'll continue with this sugya tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem. Good evening.
Your house tomorrow?